I'm going, it's one day, boys and girls. You know, I mean, it flabbergasts me. And then you look at some of the prices of these cakes, and you figure, now, I'm not a baker, as you know, right? But it's flour, egg, and some kind of a liquid into it. And the frosting. You're going, and you get how much for this? I mean,
It's the design because it's an art. Okay?
Uh-huh. Okay.
There you go.
Get cupcakes. It's easier.
Well, she makes fabulous cupcakes as well.
Yes, she does.
All right.
Yes.
Enough about me. Let's talk with Grace
Well,
at Studio 395.
Okay, one more. Hang on.
All right.
Okay, one more time. Phone number, www.
951-522-8757 is my phone number. If I don't answer, please leave me a message. And my website for my designing of websites and so forth is restlessdesigns.com. Now, if you would like to see my digital art, which I'm very proud of and I enjoy, you can go to restlessd.com, and that's where you can see and purchase my digital art.
And they're gorgeous. So listen, boys and girls, Rhonda has my stamp of approval, not because we're just friends. I seen the work. I check on, I do my homework on everybody. And when she started hooking up with me, or I hooked up with her, and I seen this work, she got my stamp of approval. And let's see, in 2013, the award and the stamp of approval only went to 6 people for that whole year. So think about it. And now, again, 2014, right? So, listen, we're telling you to make you happy, okay? And if you just tuned in, you're listening to Let's Go Shopping with Bev right here on KCAA 1050, the station that leaves no listener behind. Now, Grace, it's your turn.
I'm here.
Okay. Now, Grace, $3.95. I love this story. This is another good story. Tell everybody how you got that name and that number.
I work with a group of artists. We're in Lake Elsinore off of historic Route 395. I really love the crest and the historic logo of the street sign and all that stuff. And so that's what we've done is we've gone ahead and used historic imagery. And then we're an art studio, so everything we do is a studio. We've art, jewelry, Rhonda's web, cake design. My husband's a baker. All of that is in the genre of art. And so studio kind of covers that. It even covers what we're sitting here in a studio, right? Yeah. And you're performing a function of art, too.
I'm an artist.
You are. I
finally made it. I'm an artist. Woo-woo.
If you work at it, art is everywhere. So, yeah.
You know, that's true.
Yeah, it is.
Even clothing here, you name it, that's what it is.
Designers.
Exactly.
Yes.
And that's what we're trying to do is our whole theme this year is art from the heart and or art for the heart, whichever way you want to put it. But the primary goal of it is to get people to buy original art with an understanding that you can pass down art as an inheritance, and it doesn't necessarily ever lose value. We were just at an art show in Palm Springs, the Palm Spring Art Fair, and it was amazing. We saw a $475,000 helicopter that was done up like a disco inside. It was crazy.
Whoa!
If you can get out there to see that, it's amazing. You download tickets right off the website for free and stuff, and go out there to see the show. Wouldn't you say it was worth it, Rhonda?
Oh yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and so people are still spending a lot of money on art. It's not, and I want to make sure that that's part of what I bring about today is that art can be inherited. I mean, lots of people I know, their family has a picture that grandma had. Oh, Aunt Bessie was an artist and she did this painting of her neighbor. Well, this is a true story. It happened to my friend. He looked up the artist, found out that painting just sold for $85,000.
Excuse me?
Yeah. Yep.
You're kidding.
No. And another girlfriend of mine, her parents from Long Island, Jericho, Long Island, and they ended up, they collected back in the 50s pre-civil rights work that was done by African-American artists. And that stuff now is a really hot collection item. And she sells off a piece every time she needs money. She sells off $30,000 to the museums, different things like that. So anybody who's got art sitting at home that was, Aunt Bessie's favorite It might even be a piece of dishware. My husband and I have some ceramic dishes that were done by a Russian artist. His grandparents bought them. Actually, they were here from San Bernardino. They went to the Sawdust Festival in the 60s, and they bought them from an artist. They probably paid minimal for them. They're now worth $800. It's just a set of bowls, is all it is.
Isn't that amazing when you look at it and people say, why do they spend so much or this or that? It's first they enjoy it. It has to make them happy. It has to speak to them, before they do it. But if they're smart enough and do a little bit of homework, then they're going to know which is which. And then it's kind of like you're putting money in the bank.
Right, an investment. Definitely.
Yeah, an investment, yeah. And then the other thing, too, about the art, let's go back to the beginning, just a teed wet, all right?
Okay.
How exactly did you become an artist, and how exactly did you start the studio, 395?
I started doing artwork when I was about, a child, like 3 years old, kind of thing. You're very young. My family came from a family of fishermen, and I hated fishing. And so they would set me down next to them with literally charcoal out of the fire and some rocks, or here, draw in the sand here. Nobody thought to take paper and crayons for me at the time. And I started literally with making charcoal drawings out of ashes out of a fireplace, a campfire.
Whoa!
And that's how I originally started doing art. And I'm still, to this day, I'm a charcoal artist. That's what I prefer. And then I went on to doing watercolor. I went on and I did costume design for the Shakespearean Old Globe. And as anybody in the art scene, it leads you down a crazy path if you let it. And it's very great. However, I have found that really my forte currently is to acquire grants and try to bring art. Our next thing is to go into domestic abuse shelters and take art in there and use it as a healing tool for trauma victims and things like that. So I'm looking for grant money, and we've already secured a couple of grants. And we do public art projects. We're just doing a big one. You were talking about somebody, the Bugman?
Yes, Tom. Yeah.
Well, we're doing a big project, very large public art project for Northwest Vector Control. And actually, one of the sculptures, we've nicknamed it Things We Kill.
That makes sense.
It's a
mosquito control.
Yeah.
Let's do
it. And what do they walk around with a fly swatter? You don't start batting on.
They got a big one. They got a big fly swatter.
Big one.
Yeah, big one. Yeah. And they're a huge organization, and unfortunately, and it's good and bad. They destroy a part of the food chain that we need, but also, they take care of things like West Nile virus and some of the things that are seriously health problems for us. They take care of rats and all that kind of stuff.
All the quillies.
Yeah.
And I remember one time going back when Rhonda and I were talking to Tom, our bug guy, and he came up and he was, because we found some termites on the side of the garage. Called them immediately. They came, and I asked him, I says, now don't get me wrong on what I'm saying, boys and girls. It was a joke. So nobody get on the phone and start screaming at me. I asked him if he got rid of some outlaws. He says, what do you mean? I says, we have the in-laws and the outlaws. Can you get rid of some of the outlaws? He says, just go ahead and bake a cake and that will get rid of them. It was a story. It was a funny thing that we talked about. So, if you're not a baker and you want to get rid of somebody,
bake a cake. Yeah.
Bake a cake. It works. Yeah. I tried it. It works. Believe me, it worked. Yeah.
So we don't call you for baking skills.
Right.
So,
there you go.
Yeah, I got it. Well, and food is an art. We were talking about that earlier, is that food's an art. My husband's
oh my gosh.
He's a chef, and he turns food into art. I don't know how he does it. I'm Irish. There's a reason there's no real Irish restaurants without a bar.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah, I can boil just about anything, but that's about the extent of it. Yeah. So he does all the cooking, and so everything. Whenever you look at it, when people put that extra emotion into it, it becomes
an art.
An art.
Art is about emotion, and not all emotion is pretty. Obviously, whenever you see that chair hanging on the wall, and my husband would tell you a story. That was when an epiphany for him was we were in a gallery, and this lady had a chair that was all beat up and everything. It was actually the assimilation of a birthing chair, and it was the pain that a woman goes through in birth. And this chair was hung on the wall and a canvas. And he didn't get it. And he turned to the artist and said, I don't get it. I don't know what you're talking about. And she said, well, it's about the pain of birth, and women can. And he said, why would you do that? She said, because all art is about emotion, and not all emotion's pretty. So it became a tagline for me. Is that it's a way to explain when you do look at some art and you kind of question it and think, well, what were they thinking? You don't have to know what they're thinking. It's an emotion. And if you can put that into your, like what you said earlier, you buy it because you like it. And I don't care if you bought it for $3 at a thrift store. If it's something that spoke to you, that's important. And buying original art as opposed to going into Target and picking up a framed photo, nothing wrong with the artist that did that frame photo and reproduction art and stuff. And that's the other thing is people need to understand the difference between original art, production art, and reproduction art. A lot of what Rhonda does is she reproduces her art. It is not production art. So it still has a value. I have several numbered prints that are off of block prints and things like that, serigraphs. And those kind of things are reproduced, but they are still maintain a series of value to them. But you have to most of all, you have to enjoy the art. Mm-hmm. If you don't, there are people who collect art. We know that, and that's what they do. We saw them today at the Palm Springs Art Center. There were some photographs that I just absolutely adored. One of them was $12,000. Yeah, for a photo.
Holy moly!
Holy moly! That's right. But it was fabulous. Wasn't
yes,
it?
there was some amazing work, and everybody has their own taste. So some of it did not appeal to me, but there was some that I loved, and if I was a person that could afford it, I would have taken that. I want to take that home. Yeah. And wonderful sculptures too.
Yeah, I was just going to say that when you said the sculptures, even the statues. And there are some gorgeous statues that I have seen, and there's a couple that I have. I didn't spend a whole lot of money because at the time I could not do it. This is when I was back in New York, and I still have them today. They mean more to me just because I like it. I didn't think of investing, to sell it someday. You know what I mean? And then also when you were talking about the children and helping them, that is one of the most important thing I think us parents and grandparents and aunties and uncles and teacher can do for our children. Is let them pick up a box of crayons or, the watercolors, some clay, learn an instrument, get them on a stage and let them enjoy and learn with all this because that's how they're going to grow.
That's right.
And the younger you can start them, like you at 3 years old on the beach with the fireplace stuff, right, the ashes, that's how people grow. I mean, it's a learning process, but they don't realize that they're learning because they're having so much fun doing it.
Exactly.
And even today, when people say, the video games, my kid spends all his time on the computer. Well, I'm sitting next to a computer artist. Rhonda's a digital computer artist. And so one of the things that she does is she takes pictures, and then the art takes place after the photo is taken. And we have debates all the time when I look at photo art and digital art, and I'm always questioning it. Is that valid art? Well, it is. It is valid art. And then once again, it gets back to, does it speak to you? Today, that photo that I saw, there was a video that I saw. I was talking with the fellow from the Palm Springs Museum of Honor and Art today. And it's a woman standing in kind of an old black kind of Ellis Island early, pioneer woman kind of black dress. And she's holding a bowl. And the bowl, first you look at this picture and you think that it is a photo that's backlit. But then when you watch it, she's holding the bowl and eventually a little bit of the milk drips out of the bowl. It's a video. It's a 12-minute video. And to me, it just spoke so many things. It's like trying to hold on to something so tight. And we've all had that thing in our life, whatever it was. And she's trying to hold on to it, and eventually a little bit of the milk spilled out. And she's restricted by the dress and the outfit that she has to wear, and then she's holding this bowl, and
it just kept getting heavier and heavier and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's an amazing piece. So you have to find the pieces that speak to you.
And while we're talking about Palm Springs, you're saying one can get onto the computer. Where can they go? How do they